Hi guys, and welcome back to the Terriers Talk Weekly Review, episode 16 today. And another pretty packed one. So we've got a lot to cover, so I think we'll just crack right on. We're going to start on a really sour note, actually. First game back at the John Smiths for, I don't know how long, but it's a lot of days. A lot of hope going into it. You know, those obvious favourites, as we said. Never going to get the 3 points realistically, but what actually happened was nothing short of an embarrassment, to be honest. It ended 5-1 to Fulham, of course. I'm sure if you're a Huddersfield fan fan watching this, you've heard no end of that. But we'll start on something sort of positive. It could have been very different, and Matty Pearce had a goal ruled out for seemingly nothing. No one was offside, to my view. I haven't really liked to watch much of it back. I don't think it had changed too much. And it was a battering. They were all over us and we were really poor. So, Ben, what would you say the main thing that went wrong in that game was?
Not pushing on from the original goal. Had it have stood, I reckon things would have gone a lot differently. I think we all know that. I think they would have pressed on a bit more, and we could have kind of played our normal game at that point as a kind of gone into them a little bit more. But what happened instead of that was just absolute capitulation on our part. Just little things that needed to be done just didn't get done, and I think we just clicked out of it. Quite the opposite of the Preston game, but we'll get on to that. Obviously, everyone's seen the Schofield error. It's drawing the line now at a point of you've got to criticise to an extent, but you don't want to criticise to the point where it's abuse. And there's a very fine line at the moment, especially on Twitter. There is a very fine line that is often being crossed on Twitter. I don't want to personally come out and say, look, Schofield, X, Y, Z, because it'll already been said. But what needs to be done now is he needs to go on loan. I think, however good he was last season, we need to just completely take that out of the picture. And whilst we are late into the window, I think somebody else does need to come in. Whoever that is, I don't know. But somebody else is needed to come in as a backup keeper, because as much as I love Schofield and as much as he loves the club himself, if he keeps playing the way he does, he's going to lose the fans more than he already has. And that's not going to do a confidence good for anybody, let alone a 22-year-old that loves the club. So if he gets out a season on loan like Romani Edmonds-Green has had, he's just had a season pretty much where he's played a lot. If he goes on loan now, has a bit of time out at League One and he's being competitive with his playing time, hopefully he comes back and is a keeper that in next year is at the forefront of Town's defence, which I think we all want to see happen. Lee Nichols is going guaranteed to be number one now, but I think that mistake just pretty much nailed it in. But yeah, I mean, Jay, would you say that's the worst aspect of the game, or do you think there was other parts of it that, if things had gone differently, we could have changed the result?
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, that Schofield error, and I'm not going to put it all down to Schofield, because I think Sol Thomas, that was just a horrible way to set Schofield up for failure. There was the aspects of Sol Thomas absolutely drilling it towards him. I think we all know now, and there's no point complaining about it. I mean, we will move on pretty swiftly from it. But the officiating, I think Ryan was a good few inches out of touch.
Yeah.
And it was just that inability to react. I think we were very, very sloppy on the day. Overall, losing the ball too many times. I think if it wasn't for Levi Colwell, who arguably dropped a 7-8 out of 10 and still conceded 5 goals, it could have been a cricket score. I think, our fans were not helped out at all by what the team was putting on show. I'm pretty sure if that goal did stand, the game would be different and the fans would have something to cheer about. But, I mean, what can we say? Fulham, they are a Premier League side. I was watching the players walk off the bus and I was thinking, oh my God, he's still there. These lot should bounce right back up to the Premier League. I think what disappointed me the most though was to score and then no more than 2 minutes later be picking the ball out of our own net again. I mean, like Jack said at the start of this episode, it was a demolition, and it was at that point we realised we needed a reaction. And I've never witnessed a day where the cowshed released a statement calling for that, and they did, and the reaction was thankfully, it was there. I don't think we do want to speak about Fulham more, unless you two got something to say, because quite frankly, there's not much to talk about, and I think we were looking forward. So I mean, on to Preston.
I mean, if there's just one thing that I can add on to it as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you said, how they are a Premier League team, the fact that they are also spending heavily as well. I think, whilst I'm in no way about to excuse the performance at all and say, yeah, it's fine, but because a 5-1 loss in the Championship isn't fine at all. I think what has to be taken into it as well is they do have a lower Premier League end squad. They've already spent 12 million this window, which is more than 97% of the Championship spent combined. They've added another 8 million signed onto that with a striker whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. So they will be going back up. I don't think anybody is kind of in any doubt about that. But what is necessary is, I think, whilst it is an absolute horrible result, I think there has to be a line drawn at some point, in a sense of they were expected to absolutely batter us, and at the end of the day, that is what happened. But the disappointing thing is that more of a fight wasn't put up against it. And then, like you said, Carl Studlow putting out that statement saying that enough was enough and that there had to be a bounce back. And I mean, Jack, how do you reckon that bounce back was on Tuesday?
As you guys say, just the Fulham game was just terrible. There wasn't enough effort. I wouldn't have minded losing 3 or 4-0, 3 or 4-1 if there was a bit more, fight, a bit more, application, a bit more quality, especially in the midfield. And I'll touch on a bit why, because it applies to the Preston game. I'll talk about that later. But I don't think Preston was a good performance. To be perfectly honest, I don't think it's hard to see that. I think passing was sloppy again. There was a lot more effort. I'll give them that. There was a lot more effort, and they clearly wanted it a lot more than they did against Fulham. But I think it's doing the rounds a lot. Is not having a single shot on goal, which is not good enough, regardless of who you're playing. If it's a cup competition against the Premier League side, it's not good enough not having a shot on goal. We probably would have done if Sepp van den Berg didn't turn into Usain Bolt and chase down Dwayne Holmes. But regardless, we haven't had a shot on goal in 90 minutes. Did it at the post, but, it wasn't good enough, that game. And why I think that is the 3 at the back. And I think I'll put it out there right now, the 3 at the back does not work. Naby Sarr in the middle of the back 3, as good as he was, I don't know. It just doesn't work without Toffolo and without having the full-backs getting up and down as well as the wingers. It just doesn't work. And Preston, as well as Fulham, really solidified that for me. So, but we got 3 points at the end of the day. And I was talking to people after the game, and I was just saying, I'll talk about this later. I'm just so happy to have been celebrating 3 points at the John Smiths again. It was unreal just being there, and that when obviously Van den Berg scored, it was great. But the performance definitely raised question marks for me. Do you agree, Jay? I mean, I'm sure you do, but you just let me know your thoughts, I suppose.
Yeah, it was probably one of the, I'm not going to say worst, but most unenthusiastic showings from a fan's point of view. I mean, it was just awful. Like, you could just tell that these two sides were just shot of confidence. I mean, it just hurts my head thinking about it now. Possession being turned over every 2 or 3 seconds, not being able to get the ball on the floor. It was just lacklustre. Very scrappy, but there were some marked positives you could take from it. And I'll start from the back and I'll go forward. I think Lee Nichols commanded very, very well. I mean, I sit in the first row of the main stand upper, and I could still hear him barking orders out. That's one thing I think we've missed. We've missed that presence. Nichols does offer that presence, and long may it continue. Because if we can't lead from the back, then we'll be spineless. I think Naby Sarr was absolutely immense, but unfortunately for Naby, I don't think he's going to remain in the system when Harry Toffolo comes back, because it just doesn't work, like Jack's already mentioned. And I'd love to see Levi Colwill and Matty Pearson as the 2 centre halves. Midfield was better, but still not as I'd like it. I mean, it was good to see Lewis O'Brien back in the midfield, probably for the last time. We will touch on that later. I thought Dwayne Holmes was sharp when he came on, but the main thing for me was Sorba Thomas. He's just taking it by storm, isn't he? I mean, I think off the top of my head, that's 2 man of the matches in 3 games. The kid's immense. He's. I mean, I said it. I'm going to sound like a broken record for the whole this season. I think the way Sorba's going, he's hungry, and we were discussing the position Sorba played on Tuesday was not his natural position. He was still going up and down that left hand side, cutting in a bit. He was very unlucky to hit the post. But if that's Sorba in his, in not his natural position, imagine what he's like when he's out on the wing. He's going to be a scary, scary player. I think he made 3 key passes again, which is still impressive to say we didn't have a shot on target, which probably brings me on to the lack of clinical strikers. I mean, Danny Ward, he did absolutely nothing. Again, taken off at half time, apparently ill. Quite frankly, he made me feel ill, because it was just like, we were trying that same throwing down the channel, and he was just stood there doing nothing. It was good to see Fraser Campbell come on. He did make their back line shake a bit. He applied his same pressure. He did very well. Got us up the field. I thought Karoma was very bright. Did really well to put Dwayne Holmes on a plate, and eventually Vandenberg did us a favour. But it's a massive, massive, massive 3 points, and it's a boost in the right direction. It's the first 3 points we've seen in a stadium under Carlos in the league. Carlos was absolutely thrilled. You could see by the end of the game, players were on their knees just because it means so much to get that, to get across the line. Even if we have to drag ourselves across the line backwards, it means a lot. And I think this momentum can be very much carried to our game on Saturday at Sheffield United, because we have a lot at stake there. They've just been battered 4-0 to West Brom. They haven't even scored a goal yet, I don't think. So it's massive for us. But before we look forward to Sheffield United, there was a very, very encouraging B team fixture, I think yesterday, on day of recording, against Oxford. I think Town ran out 4-3 winners in the end. Oxford did quite well to get back in the second half. I think they pulled back 2 goals to make it 4-3 from 4-1 down at the end of the first half. And there was one name who surprised everyone. Jack Danel Sinani was an absolute beauty. I'll let you speak about it.
I wouldn't say it was a surprise, to be perfectly honest. I think it's a surprise he hasn't featured in the first team, if anything, as of right now. But he's clearly had a bit of injury trouble, bit of fitness issues. Put that behind him, getting 45 minutes. the fact he got 45 minutes to me suggests he might be involved from the get-go on Saturday, which I really hope. I'll touch on that when we talk about Sheffield United. But yeah, I'm sure you've seen the goal. Everyone watching, it was a great goal. Just left foot, opposite corner. Yeah, no worries. But yeah, Ben Jackson got a brace from left back as well, which is very nice. Kean Harrott, a bit of a forgotten name, without sounding too harsh. We haven't heard too much about his development. Managed to get a goal as well. So yeah, I didn't watch the game. I was playing football myself, so I can't really comment too much. But you know, yeah, it's good for the B team. Obviously, it's good that that's still working. Rolando Aarons as well, I should mention, got a good run out. I think about 70 minutes. I want to say he got, which is massive for him after all his issues out. But yeah, before we touch on the previews, and we haven't actually discussed this before, and there's a few candidates for this week's Star of the Week. And Ben, you haven't spoken for a while, so I think to keep it complicated, I'll let you pick it. I'm sure there's a couple in your mind, but talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, just one more thing on Preston too. I think why it was such a good result on top of everything was just the fact that if you think about the past few seasons, that's a game that we're losing. I know obviously the way that we've won isn't brilliant, but scrappy games like that, if you think how many times in the past 3 years Town have lost to 1 goal, that has come in a really, really scrappy game that we've done nothing about, or we've dropped points because of it. The fact that we've got 3 points down, we've held on for a win too is absolutely excellent. Whilst it wasn't a good game at all, the fact that we're still getting 3 points out of it, although we did nothing to earn those 3 points as such in the way that we scored, it is encouraging, especially in a system that we can all see doesn't really work. I mean, from kickoff, I thought it could have been anywhere from a 4-3-3 to a 3-4-3, and while that is kind of worrying, the fact that we still are there whilst we're not structurally there and we're still picking up points is something that does show that there is something working behind the scenes, and it does give you quite an encouraging kind of thought towards like next week, and if we can go back to the system that we are comfortable in, how we can play against a very strong Sheffield United squad. Star of the week, I think obviously it could be split with a few names. I think Scott had another good game, and he's been, you know, he's made that role his own pretty much in the absence of Bacuna, which we will touch on very soon. But I think he's got to go to Naby Sarr. He didn't put a foot wrong all game, and whilst he wasn't brilliant, I don't think he had to be brilliant in the role that he was playing. He did everything that he needed to out of the centre-back that we needed him to be. We didn't need him to do anything fancy. We just needed him to kind of get those initial passes out to the wider fullbacks into midfield. And we needed him to win headers, which is what Preston were going through a lot of the game. So I think Naby Sarr was absolutely brilliant. It is a shame that I think that he will probably come out of the squad now for Matty Pearson or Tom Lees to play there. If we do revert back to the 4, which I'm hoping we do. But it is still very encouraging that we have a very, very good centre-back behind Levi Colwill, who is, only 18 years old. But, I mean, would you both agree with that? Would you say that Naby Sarr is deserving of the Star of the Week? Or
yeah, there's no complaints from me on that. Absolutely as well, and credit as well to Tom Lees, just right quick, stepping in unexpectedly, and he didn't really put a foot wrong. He was fine, no more, but it was fine and kept a clean sheet on debut. Can't complain there. Right, so 2 big bits of news. Lewis O'Brien. It did look like it was all but done, but Marcelo Bielsa's come out and said that they might not make another signing this window. Personally, I think that's just deflecting the media, and I think that Lewis O'Brien has played his last game for Huddersfield Town. I don't know anything, I don't have any inside information. But as far as we know, well, we don't know, but I think he's just deflecting the media with his comments in this press conference today, and. Yeah, he didn't have the best game. If that is his last game, I won't comment too much on it because we've finished on Preston now. But yeah, it's talk about 7 million with add-ons presumably rising to about 10. Do you think that's a good deal, Jay?
I would snap your hand off for that. Yeah, I think maybe in his first season, you'd do anything to tie him down. I think last season he was very much hindered by his injuries. But like I said on Twitter, we all know what kind of player Lewis O'Brien is. He's tenacious, he's hungry, he'll work back. Occasionally he'll burst forward. He's not the most creative, but he does make up for it. Because he's just that player that everyone wants in the team. I think he's perfect for Marcelo Bielsa because looking at the style of play Bielsa plays, it's front foot football and it's players who will give 110% for the shirt. O'Brien's one of those players. So to be honest, I do agree with you, Jack, that he's probably played his last in a Huddersfield Town shirt. And what I can say is all the best to Lewis because it's been very short in the first team, but he's an academy lad, Huddersfield lad, and although it does and it will sting seeing a Leeds shirt, I think this move is for the benefit of him. I think there's only so far you can flourish, and this is no disrespect to us or the Championship. There's only so far you can flourish in the Championship, and I think with a few elements to fine tuning, he will be a very, very decent signing for Leeds, I think. Ben, anything else to add?
Yeah, just on what Jack said, really. Last summer, I don't know if you can remember, he said the same thing about no more incomings, and then they ended up spending 25 odd million on Rafinha. Whilst I'm not saying obviously we're going to get 25 mil for Lewis O'Brien, I think with Bielsa, I don't think you can rule anything out. There's been rumours that they're going to get Josh Brownhill from Burnley. If they were for similar fees, I don't see why not spend the extra couple of mil on Lewis O'Brien, who is very nearing an end product. Just needs a bit of, like Jay said, fine tuning. But yeah, I mean, for a player that's been pretty much, in my eyes, gone since January, I think he's obviously had talks about Newcastle, Palace. I think at one point somebody reported that Arsenal were interested. He's been linked with so many clubs now, and I think at this point it's a case of the club have now or should have several targets they've been looking at since January, probably since the start of last season, in case somebody came in and bidded for him. So if we've got targets in mind as to who can replace him like for like, then that's obviously brilliant. And obviously we've been linked with Matty Longstaff on loan, as well as Sheffield United, and I think the other club is Nottingham Forest, who have also been linked with him. Yep. If that's the case of whether we're going for Matty Longstaff, I think it's an eye for an eye pretty much. It is a near enough spot on replacement for him. I would not follow it at all if we were to bring Matty Longstaff in, but obviously we don't have a clue what's happening there. We don't know if he actually will end up going. I know Palace is still rumoured to be interested in O'Brien, so if he don't go Leeds, potentially he might go to Palace, but a move that is pretty much done as of today. There's been a lot of tweets about it, and Peter O'Rourke has been tweeting about it, and about an hour ago said that Rangers have had an accepted bid, and there's rumours flying around as well that he's passed his medical, and that would be Juninho Bacuna. He was linked with Rangers the entirety of last window, and then he stayed. He was linked with clubs in January. I think he was linked with quite a few Turkish clubs. Once again, he stayed. We renewed his contract, and we're doing it in the dying embers of the window, aren't we, really? But it's a move that makes a lot of sense for all parties. If we can get a few million for him, it'll be absolutely brilliant. We don't obviously know how much he's on, but I'm going to guess he's probably still on a Prem-esque wage. So I mean, it's just a brilliant move, and I really do hope he can push on. He's shown glimpses of what he can do. His attitude is questionable, but his talent is undeniably there, and I think under Gerrard he could definitely become a very, very, very good midfielder that, you know, one day might end up back in the Prem because he has all the marks to make it as a Premier League midfielder. But if somebody like Gerrard, who is, you know, one of the best midfielders, if not the best midfielder the Premier League has ever seen, a bit of coaching from him, just again fine tuning, Bacuna could be a name that we hear for a long, long time. Would you say that it's a good move for him, Jay, or do you reckon that potentially move back towards the Netherlands or somewhere like that would have been a more correct move for him?
No, I think this is perfect. It looks to be almost nailed on from all the media today. I'm very happy for Juninho, and I just hope he can kick on, like you said. He's one of those. He's hot and cold. He's never really found that spell of real consistency. I mean, he did kind of carry us over the October 2019. I think that was just down to him being happy and comfortable. He is undeniably an extremely talented footballer. And it's the same with Lewis O'Brien, and probably more so with Juninho. It's the fine tuning. It's the elements of the game where you can either add to it or you can cut it out. I think under Gerrard, he will develop extremely as a footballer, because Gerrard knows what it takes physically and mentally to be a top midfielder. Juninho, he's a young guy. I mean, I think because he's been at the club for such a long time in the scheme of things, I think quite a few of the fans forget how young he is. And I just think it's clear his mind isn't at the club. And it's been nice to see him at the John Smiths for the last two games, supporting the lads. I've seen him twice. And yeah, I mean, what else can I say other than good luck? It's been great to have him. He's brought us some very, very good memories, but equally some very frustrating ones. And to be honest, I'm very excited to see what the future holds for him, because I'm pretty sure he's going to have a bright future.
Yeah, definitely. I think to put it, I won't spend too much time. You've said whatever I want to say, but to put it very shortly, I'm glad he's gone for the good of our club, but I'm glad for him, and I will 100% back him. I'm very, very interested to see how he does Rangers in Scotland. So yeah, that is all of the news this week, I want to say. So I think we can jump into the previews, and there's two games to preview, one league, one cup. And we'll start with Sheffield United, 21st of August. I would be a very, very bold man to call how this game is going to go, because, at the start of the season, you would say a demolition job from Sheffield United's point of view. And it still could well be that. Absolutely, it could well be that. It's more likely to be that probably than a Huddersfield Town win, if I'm being brutally honest. But they've not scored a goal in 3 games. I'm sure we'll break that duck. But they've not scored a goal in 3 games, just off the back of a thrashing by West Brom. Goalkeeper looked very, very shaky. So did the back line, to be fair. And that's why I would definitely suggest playing Danel Sinani. I think that's a must. I think 2 musts for me, assuming Toffolo or Ruffles are back. 4 at the back, Danel Sinani. Because we need someone who's going to test the keeper. We need someone who's not scared to thread a pass, have a pop from distance, So they're 2 musts for me. And I think if they happen, we can take the game to Sheffield United, and all can happen. I said this before Fulham as well, and I'm not helping myself. But all seriously can happen. And those are the 2 musts for me. If not, I'll be very sceptical. I'll be there at Bramall Lane, first time actually game there. So yeah, Ben, do you sort of share that anything can happen, or do you think it'll be another similar to Fulham?
I don't know, because obviously you got to be respectful about these opponents, whichever way you look at it. I think there has to be a large element of respect there. Their squad is absolutely unbelievable for a championship. Again, like Fulham. But the thing is obviously they're the only team to not score in the division so far, I believe. That probably will change on Saturday. I don't think anybody is gonna take that away from us. But I think there is definitely 2 teams there that have to start pushing on and show results. Wise, I think for us, we have to prove that we are competent at challenging with sides in this division, because as much as they might have a Premier League squad, they are in the Championship for a reason, and we need to prove that we can face teams like this and give them a good game, no matter about the result. They have to push on and start showing that they are going to try and get out of this division again, because if they don't start pushing on now, it is going to be a very long season. for the Blades. I think, like you said, you'd have to be quite bold to predict the game. Obviously, I don't want to put a scoreline on it, but there's like quite a bit of confidence going into it, because with the potential, we obviously know that Toffolo was spoken about in the last press conference, and I think he probably will feature this game. All goes to plan. Sinani obviously has had time. We were crying out for a creative midfielder on Tuesday night, and if we can have Sinani playing for 45 minutes in replacement of Lewis O'Brien, if he's gone by then, or if Scott High takes that role and Sinani pushes on a little bit more, then I feel like we could potentially get a point out of the game at a minimum. And I hope that we can, because they do look like they potentially could be a side for the taking. As bold as that is, Jay, do you reckon there's a point or three up for grabs, or do you reckon it might be another long afternoon in Yorkshire?
To be honest, I'm ever the optimist, and I do think that our result on Tuesday, followed by their staggering result on Wednesday, has set this game up perfectly for us and for them. And I think I'm going to literally just sound like a broken record there and say you can't predict it, but there's that quiet bit of optimism there. Like, lads, they've just been absolutely battered 4-0. We, off the pitch as fans, need to take it to them, because we've just won. It might have been the ugliest football game in our years of existence, but we still got 3 points. And their fans are going to expect nothing but an absolute, show. Going to take a point minimum or even 3, because it's Championship. And I'm going to quote Jack, but on what he said before, for them anything can happen. And Huddersfield Town are notoriously the underdogs over the past 3-4 seasons. And with the addition of Toffolo, if we do, and I assume we will, switch back to 4 at the back, and like Jack said, I think Sinani's a must, and probably drop Danny Ward, maybe put Fraser Campbell or Rhodesy up top. There are signs there that we could take it to him. It's a waiting game, really. And yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm buzzing, ticking another ground off the away day list, and hopefully the lads can deliver, because they'll be confident, and why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just like one last thing, I think what we all want is a battle. A proper Yorkshire derby. I think we all want a battle. We all want effort from all of them, and let's have them. I think it'll be a good game. I hope so. I don't know if I'm as optimistic as you two are, but I'll say it one more time. Anything can happen. So last note on the video is Everton in the Carabao Cup. Tickets are on sale, as Everton fans have exploited. It seems like there's going to be a lot of them in the home end. So if you sat next to someone you don't recognise, just give them a pat on the shoulder and ask where they're from. Might be able to tell from the accent. But it's going to be a test, as we've said before. We won't, linger too much on this. It'll be a test against Premier League opposition, whether they put their second string team out or not. They will still have quality players, I think the main thing is that we just try and enjoy it, and just, try the players just thrive from the test. As I said last time, I don't know whether it'll be a second string side, a first team side. It was first team against Sheffield Wednesday, but that was effectively a pre-season fixture. They had a week to recover. So it's hard to call, it's tricky to call. I don't know what I'd prefer, to be honest. I'll take whatever. And it's a game no one will be expecting to win but Everton. I'm sure you guys all agree. But it's cup football. I'm not going to say it again, but I'll let someone else talk now. But I'm going to enjoy it. I'll be there under the lights, and I'm going to enjoy myself. So Ben, what do you think? Right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely it's one of them games where they're under new management. They have a lot to prove. Obviously, they've just come off a 3-1 win against Southampton. They've got, I believe, Leeds at the weekend. So if they come into that game full of confidence, and they have absolutely no reason to not put a few past us and have a good run in the cup. But like we said already this episode, underdog. It'd just be nice to have a cup run this season. Obviously, for the past however many, I don't think we've actually done anything in the cup apart from go out first round. I think we've had the odd second round. If that's the case this year, at least we've gone out to a Prem side.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that we can have a bit of a cup run, have a few upsets, because this season I don't think he's going to be competing for playoffs. I think as much as it'd be nice to be up there, I don't think we'll be anywhere really near there come May. And mid-table is going to be the aim. So if we can have a bit of a cup run and a mid-table finish, I'd bite your hand off at that. To be honest, it would sound like a great deal. A second string lineup, a first string lineup, either all they got quality all over the pitch. That in a heartbeat, I think we take. So we've got to not undermine them, just play our game, and hopefully we can take something out of it. If we don't, then at least we've gone out to a very respectable side in Everton. If we progress further, then potentially a trip to one of the big boys, or potentially even a lower league trip that is a good away day. Jay, are you quietly optimistic as always, or are you kind of a bit on the pessimistic side?
No, I think I'm on the common sense. I want side of common sense here. I mean, for me, we go out, and if we do go out, we go out fighting. And that's what we've kind of missed over the past 3 seasons. When we do come up against teams who are, miles better than us, I think we kind of lay down. We laid down to Fulham. I think after we shipped that third goal, we literally just sat down and said, "There's the goal. Go score." All I want is effort.
Yeah.
And that might sound simple, but this is where we are. It's realistic. All I want is effort. It would be nice. God, it would be nice to be Everton, a big club, because they're a massive club. No, I can't see happening, to answer your question, but nonetheless, it'll be very good to sit and admire us playing against a very, very, very good side who will undoubtedly play very, very nice football. It'll be nice to see some of the big names, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, at the Johnson Stadium. It kind of be a bit reminiscent of when we watched Hazard, Aguero, Aubameyang every single week, 2 or 3 years ago. But no, I'm not expecting anything, and I doubt anyone else is of a Huddersfield Town persuasion. And if you are, and if it does happen, fair play. But no, I mean, I'm excited. I think we all are, and I think we're probably sharing the excitement of every single fan who's going. But to be honest, that's all we've really got to say, unless you two got anything else. In true Terriers Talk fashion, I'll let either Ben or Jack wrap up. And yeah, I mean, that's all for me.
Yeah, I've got one more thing to say. Sorry, just please never compare Eden Hazard to Richarlison again. But yeah, Ben's gone. Thank you guys for watching. We've wrapped up a lot today, so cheers for sticking around, and enjoy the games this weekend. Subscribe, share it around, and we will see you next time when we review those 2 games and preview Reading. So see you later, guys. You guys have a good one.